Why is that some people still have a smooth, well-defined neck at 45-50, while others develop folds and sagging already at 30-35? And why can a person have smooth skin, minimal wrinkles and good facial tone, yet still have a sagging neck and horizontal lines? It's not only genetics, and it's not random. The neck responds very clearly to how it's used, stressed and cared for over time. My name is Alina and I'm certified face yoga and natural rejuvenation trainer. In this video I will explain why the neck may age faster than the face, what real anatomical reasons are behind this, and most importantly, I'll show simple exercises you can do at home without injections, devices or aggressive methods. So let me say this right away, neck aging is not just about the skin. Yes, with age, collagen and elastin production decreases, the skin becomes thinner and subcutaneous fat layer reduces. These are normal biological processes. But if this were the only reason, everyone's neck would age in roughly the same way. Why does this happen? Because muscles, posture and hand position play a key role here. Let's break this down in a very simple way. The neck is not a separate zone. It is the cervical spine which connects to head and rib cage and constantly adapts to their position. On the surface, there are superficial muscles, including the platysma, deeper inside and stabilizing muscles that hold the head in proper alignment, and between these structures run blood vessels and lymphatic pathways, which is why neck position and muscle tension directly affect tissue nutrition and fluid drainage. Let's take a closer look at the muscles. So, platysma. The platysma is a thin superficial muscle that runs from the upper chest to the lower part of the face and the corners of the mouth. When the platysma remains tense for a long time, it ends up working in a constantly shortened state. Over time, this affects the appearance of the neck. Vertical bends may become visible, the jawline loses definition and the skin looks less smooth. This can also contribute to jaws and drooping corners of the mouth. The platysma is not designed for prolonged static tension. With chronic overload, it loses elasticity and starts pulling the superficial tissues downward. Increased platysma tone most often develops due to a constantly forward head position and poor posture. When the deep neck muscles stop effectively supporting the head, superficial muscles, including the platysma, begin compensating for this work. Modern people spend most of the day in a very similar position. The head is pushed forward, the shoulders are slightly rounded, and the thoracic spine is flexed. Phones, laptops, driving, even sitting on a couch, all of this reinforces the same posture again and again. As I mentioned earlier, in this position, the deep neck muscles that should stabilize the head gradually work less and less, while superficial muscles are forced to take on extra load. Over time, the skin adapts to this position and simply starts folding. And there is a very simple way to notice this. If you straighten your spine, gently lengthen your neck upward and align your head, you will often see in the mirror that the neck looks longer and folds are less pronounced and the contours appear smoother. And this is a normal mechanical response of the tissues to a more physiological position. But it is not always just about obvious poor posture. Sometimes small habits that repeat every day and last for hours are enough to make a difference. We have already talked about slouching, but there are also subtle habits, like holding the head slightly tilted to one side or slightly tilted back, like this, or like this. Head position during sleep can also play a role. However, it is important to understand that sleep itself is rarely the main cause of changes. It usually reinforces existing patterns. If during the day the neck is constantly in a shortened or asymmetrical position, the same position repeats at night, and the soft tissues gradually adapt to this load. That's why, if the neck is truly a focus area for you, the most neutral sleeping position is usually sleeping on your back with proper head support. And this is not a treatment or a way to fix everything, but rather one option to avoid increasing existing tension and asymmetry. And there is another factor that is rarely discussed but easy to notice in many people: facial expression habits. The platysma is a facial muscle and is involved not only in neck movements but also in movements of the lower face. Some people have a habit of tensing their neck while speaking, under stress, or even while smiling. And this is easy to see when pronounced neck bends appear during conversation or emotional reactions. In these moments, the platysma is not working for movement, but is engaged in brief, frequently repeated tension. When this happens many times throughout the day, the muscle gradually becomes accustomed to staying in a state of increased tone. And of course, over time, this kind of facial overload can intensify existing tension, especially when combined with a forward head position and poor posture. And so what to do about it? When people notice that their neck looks worse, the first thought is usually very simple: what cream to use or what procedure to get. And that's understandable. We are used to thinking that appearance issues are solved locally. But in the case of the neck, this almost never gives a stable result. And the first thing that makes sense to do is to stop making the situation worse. Don't try to maintain perfect posture or walk around all day holding yourself straight. That's unrealistic. But it is important to start noticing moments when you automatically push your head forward or tense your neck. For example, while working, talking, or under stress. Even this alone already reduces constant overload. And why simply noticing actually works? Here we're talking about a mechanism that psychology describes as breaking an automatic pattern. Most of the way we hold our head and neck happens automatically. These positions are controlled not by conscious thought, but by habitual motor programs. That's why a person can be completely sure they are sitting straight while the head is already pushed forward. As long as movement remains automatic, the body does not see it as a problem. It simply repeats what it has done thousands of times. And what happens when you start noticing the moment? When you catch yourself in the moments like your head has moved forward, the neck tenses while you're talking, or your shoulders lift during stress, you shift the movement from the automatic mode into a conscious one. From a neurophysiological perspective, this is important because the cerebral cortex becomes more active, the habitual pattern is temporarily paused, and a possibility to choose a different action appears. Even if you don't correct anything, the very fact that you recognize the pattern already reduces how often it repeats. And why you don't need to fix it right away. Trying to immediately sit up straight or hold your neck usually leads to excessive tension, quick fatigue, a rebound back to the old position. The psyche and nervous system resist constant control. That's why the strategy "I will always watch my posture" almost always fails. In contrast, the strategy of brief noticing without pressure works better. It doesn't break the habit forcefully, it gradually weakens it. So, the second step is to regularly return the neck to a more neutral position for a short time. A couple of minutes, several times a day, without stretching or straightening into some ideal posture. The position should feel comfortable. The goal is to remove excess tension and not add new tension. This is how the body relearns most effectively, through repeated reminders. So, and when to introduce the second step? Not immediately. From the perspective of habit correction, the second step makes sense when you have already started noticing neck tension automatically, and the delay between tension and noticing has shortened as much as possible. That means you notice the incorrect position almost immediately or within a minute, not a half an hour later when everything already feels stiff and painful. This usually takes anywhere from a few days to 1 or 2 weeks. Before that point, the body is simply not ready to choose differently. And if you try to introduce the second step too early, it will require too much effort, and the psyche will eventually decide it is easier to give up and return to a familiar habitual state. So, and at this stage, the nervous system learns through contrast, not through effort. When you return to a neutral position without forcing yourself to hold it, the brain begins updating its body map. It learns that another position exists and that it feels better and more pleasant. And these short returns reduce the total time the muscles stay tense, decrease overload on the platysma, and give deep neck muscles a chance to engage again. And finally, the third step is working with the muscles and soft tissues of the neck to reduce chronic tension in the superficial muscles, especially the platysma, and to allow the deep muscles to do their job again. So exercises can be done right away from day one. Many people feel an effect after the very first attempt. So now I will show you a few simple exercises. They don't need to be done for a long time or with force. What matters is not quantity, but regularity and precision. These exercises don't promise instant miracles, but they help change what truly affects the appearance of the neck every day. So we begin with warming up. So from warming up to loosen the chest muscles, which often pull the rib cage forward and prevent the head from returning to a more neutral position. So using our knuckles, gently make circular or kneading movements across the rib cage, moving from the center outward towards the armpit. Work along the ribs. There is no need to press into the soft breast tissues. And gradually move upward toward the collarbones. And under the collarbone, you can also work gently, using, for example, one knuckle of the index finger. It could be rather unpleasant, but that's okay. And on the other side, the same. We can start a little bit here. Don't press too hard. You don't need to feel too much pain or something unpleasant. It could be a little bit unpleasant, but that's it, no more. If you want to spend a little bit more time here, you can stop the video and just to work it as long as you want, as long as it feels good. And under the collarbone. Okay. Now, tilt your head to one side and then to the other. And it is very important to pull your ear toward, do not pull your ear toward your shoulder. Instead, imagine that the opposite ear, this one, reaching upward to the ceiling, toward the ceiling. So we change in this position, very, very soft, slowly, without jerky movements. Our goal is to gently and carefully stretch the side of the neck and improve joint mobility. So, and now we'll stay in the tilt, and we need to use soft kneading movements to massage the side of the neck. It could be like this, with 2 hands or with 1 hand. It is not important, because there is no specific direction here. The most important rule is not to touch the spine and not to work on the central front. Here where the thyroid gland and trachea are located. So you can massage the neck wherever it feels most pleasant. The key is that it feels good and that you notice the neck relaxing. So you can start near the base of the skull, for example, and move down toward your shoulder and go on trapezius, or work closer to the front or the back, wherever you feel like tension or relief. And here, not exactly on the front, but on the side of your neck. Try to massage, to relax it. And repeat the same on the other side. Be careful. Don't touch your spine, but you can start under the skull. Okay, and go down to your shoulders. Don't forget to massage the back side of the neck. And I remind you, do not touch the center of the neck, the thyroid and trachea. Oh, I feel some soreness here. Oh. Okay. The next exercise, we need to place our hand just below the collarbone and gently pull the skin slightly downward. That's okay. And then softly tilt your head a little bit back and to the side, but please do not throw your head back like this, just a little bit, slightly tilt it to just until you feel a stretch along the front of the neck, just light stretch, and spend some time in this position. And after that, we need to make gentle head turns to the sides. like that, to change a little bit the feeling of tension from one part of the platysma to the other. Just stretching it. And please be very careful here. And all movements should be soft and controlled to about 30% of your maximum effort, as always. And use pleasant sensations. No pain, no discomfort. Okay, look at me and return your head to the neutral position. And from, sorry, here's the microphone. Okay, now we a little bit pull the skin downward, tilting your head. Spend some time here. And begin turning our head a little bit. So this exercise works very well with the platysma, the muscle we talked about earlier, and it helping restore its length and elasticity. Okay. Just looking at me and return your head. Now we are going to do like so-called chin scoops. So we need to move our chin forward and down, like you are gently scooping the air toward yourself. Okay. Just don't force it. Let it stay easy and comfortable and natural. Just try to relax and find your range and try to feel the very top of vertebrae of your neck working. You can close your eyes and try to feel it. Okay, I can show you how does it look. Then we need to do the opposite. Just softly push our air outward. So this movement releases the sternocleidomastoid and suboccipital muscles that often hold chronic tension. And releasing these muscles just improves blood flow and to the head and to the face, and sometimes even reduces headaches and gives the neck a longer and smoother look. Okay. And that's it. And now please place your feet flat on the floor and sit upright and feel the crown of your head gently reaching upward as if a string were attached to it and like lightly pulling you up. And let your arms hang down naturally. And from this position, softly reach your arms downward while your crown continues to lengthen upward. Just try You should feel a gentle stretch in the neck, as if you want to lengthen it like a giraffe, for example. And please do not stretch very strong. Again, just keep the effort at about 30%. And the sensations should feel light and pleasant. So hold in this position. Just try to lengthen your neck. And from this position, we need a little bit hinge forward and stay in this position for some time. Just continue, lengthen your neck. Breathe deeply, don't forget to breathe. Okay. If you suddenly feel the pain or some discomfort, just stop, relax, release all this tension, and you can return to this exercise or just to leave it to the next day. Okay, then return to the upright position and relax. Okay. And in this relaxed state, just begin making small nodding movements from side to side, like a bobblehead. Very nice and little. These are micro movements. Try to find the range that feels most comfortable for you. You can even close your eyes just to spend some time nodding. Okay, you can change your movement to the nodding, like you're saying yes or no. If it feels better and more comfortable, it's more pleasant, you can try this. Or continue like a bobblehead. Whatever you like. Okay. Oh, that feels good. Okay. And that's it. And in this video, I've shown basic exercises and explained the logic behind an effective approach to working with the neck. But if you'd like a more structured practice, I have a separate videos on my channel with the full neck workouts. They include more exercises that gently release tension, improve mobility, and support the changes we talked about today. And you can do these workouts regularly, either as a standalone practice or as a complement to the exercises from this video. And if the neck is an important topic for you, I recommend watching these videos next. And if you're interested not only in the neck but also in other areas of the face, you'll find many more workouts and detailed explanations on my channel. If this was helpful, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Please write me, how do you feel after this practice? And what do you want to know more about your face, about your neck, about your changes while aging? And if you enjoyed this lesson and want to make face yoga your new healthy habit, download my free guide 7 Steps to Your Natural Beauty using the link below. Inside I share how often to practice, how to do the exercises correctly and safely, and the most important tips from 8 years of personal practice and 6 years of teaching. So thank you for staying with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!